there's a great sense of relief from getting a song done, start to finish, at least in the creative and production sense. And it's nice to know that it gets to live and breathe its own life in the hearts of other people, and that's what you really want to do at the end of the day when you write a song. So I thought I'd share with you guys a little bit about me and where the song came from before it went out into the world. So I'll read through the lyrics here. I got them written down in case I forget, which I might anyway, so bear with me. Can you face broken parts? So that's kind of that originated in more of a romantic sense, I believe, when I first started writing the song. I guess that's just a vulnerable kind of expositional line, just a question, and I guess it would have been true to what I was feeling. And I believe that this song, when I first wrote it, like many songs, is just a murmur. I normally mumble things under my breath, and those were the only audible lyrics, and it was just rhythmic and like very basic kind of A-B thing. And that's the only thing I could really discern from the recordings. I came back to the song. I found it in like the rubble of my voice memos that are stacked up higher than I can see. So that's where that came from, and the meaning behind it, I guess, was more in a romantic sense of entering a relationship and being insecure about whether or not this person can accept. So that's a lot of what love is, and I think over time, as I've grown in my faith, it's taken on another form, which is to God. And the song is very cinematic. When I first started demoing it in GarageBand, I would make edits, and the first edit that came to mind was Gladiator, because I think it was just the picking. Something about the grain field that he's walking through in the beginning just made sense with the picking, and it just flowed. The movement flowed. It lended itself to the film. Since then, I've seen The Passion of the Christ by Mel Gibson in Christmas Eve of 2024, and I was very moved by that film. And I've since made a full edit, and I have a whole dissertation I could do on the breakdown of each line and the corresponding sequence of the shots that I edited. It's the whole movie condensed into 5 minutes and 15 seconds, basically the length of the song. So that can be another video. Can you face broken parts? That's where that originated from. And then join the scar, share the heart. It's kind of like entering a union, and part of accepting that love, sharing that heart, you might have to join that. It's just a poetic line. It's not supposed to be dark. It's not intentionally supposed to be dark. Scar isn't necessarily a bad thing. Actually, the proverb that it reminds me of, proverb would be, by his wounds we are healed, I think is a nice way of looking at it. Angel, come back to me, that was a complete throwaway line. That's there in the original murmur of that voice memo that I scrounged up. I heard that in there, and I just didn't want to part with it because it seemed like an easy throwaway line, but sometimes if your subconscious just conjures that up in the initial run-through, you should just stick with it because it just feels right, and that line just felt right. I don't have a lot to extrapolate from that. Time and time you watch me go, on the side I'd never know. That's about me kind of coming into my faith in life and knowing that through those things that I went through that used to seem insurmountable or that you were damaged beyond repair, I've since seen them in a new light, and I love that line. And then can you forgive, opening line of the chorus, kind of like the main line of the song as far as the hook goes. So that's just an open-ended question there to the big man upstairs. These scars of love, yeah, because we have imperfect love. We do try. We definitely try. We're moving on to the second verse. Here I am, as you aren't, made from one, pulled apart. Now this first line, here I am as you aren't, could kind of be singled out on its own, and that means quite a few things. I wrote the second verse later, so this was disjointed. The first half originally, like I said, spawned in that romantic sense. It later took on more form. It was informed by the second half of the song, which was written at a later date when I started conceptualizing it as a more spiritually based song. So this part originated later. So this is more in a religious sense. Here I am as you aren't. And that corresponds with the Passion of the Christ edit that's out there. Here I am as you aren't. I put on the frame that has Judas's face, and the reason I did that is a lot of times, historically speaking, when you're doing a revisionist history of something, you're gonna, in hindsight, empathize or put yourself typically in the shoes of a victim. That's human nature. That's what I would do. You know, reading The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, you know, I think I'm on the side of the fence with him, right? That's very typical. Nobody wants to see themselves as the monster, perhaps, but I thought this would be good to kind of take ownership. So I thought, here I am as you aren't. For one meaning is, here I am, this flawed, imperfect human being, as you aren't, and that's to the Son of God. That's just the base level. It's very simple. And that perfect good would sacrifice for me. Like, here I am, with all these problems as you aren't, for that sake. And then the other meaning is, here I am, this earthly being, as you aren't physically. Like, you've been taken beyond this realm, but also not of this world. Like, here I am, as you aren't. You're of a heavenly nature, right? So there's that sense. And then made from one, pulled apart. You know, we're all made from God, and I feel like in life that can be corrupted and you can drift apart, but we're made from one. There's a likeness. And in the Passion of the Christ edit, there's a scene where I think there's a man doing woodwork, and it's after Christ has turned himself over, and he sees him doing woodwork, and then Christ thinks about himself doing woodwork from earlier in his life. And I just like that, made from one, that likeness. But that's why I would sacrifice for these imperfect beings who we're made from one. We are, you know, at the end of the day, tethered to our Heavenly Father. So I like that line. Time and time you watched me go on the side, and now I know. Now that line I wrote, again, like I was saying, in the second half of the song, so it came in later, and it kind of rectifies the first verse. You know, on the side I'd never known, and now I know. My Lord, I can see. So that just has to do with me coming to faith and being able to see the beauty that I was fortunate enough to receive in this lifetime after many points where I didn't think I would deserve or get to see that fate. So, can you forgive? It goes on. And it's just different. Lyrically, very similar, but just some dynamics in there and some voiceovers and fun stuff musically. But that is Forgive. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to our music and just opening up your heart. So we have another single coming out. I'll give the official release dates later, but it's called New Dress, so be on the lookout for that. It's already in the queue. And we have 2 more singles, Anything and Back Together, that will be out hopefully by December, and the full album by the new year, 14 songs. So stay tuned, and God bless you. Thank you.